What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Speak Up series. Today we have a
Woo!
phenomenal guest. You might have seen him in It Too, and you can see him right now in Defending Jacob on Apple TV Plus. Please give a warm welcome to my friend Jaeden Martell.
Oh yeah. What are we
Thanks for having
defending
me.
Jacob from?
Oh man,
Just a little murder.
Oh,
Yeah.
Some little.
little,
Some little.
little murder.
But who knows if he did it?
Huh.
So, man, it's good to see you. You know, we're always running into each other at these different parties and things.
Mhm.
And so, you know, when we thought of this idea, I was like, it would be amazing to get you on. But
Mm.
you know, really, we obviously there's a lot going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
Everything is kind of, you know, it seems like there's a lot of tragedy and trauma that's being circulated on social media, and obviously this can leave people's mental state in, you know, kind of a weird way.
Yeah.
So really, we're just starting each episode by checking in with each of our guests and seeing, you know, how you doing with everything. Where's your headspace?
I'm good. Well, thank you for having me. I think it's tough with everything going on. It's easy to get sort of trapped in constantly watching news and being on social media. So I think it's important to have these discussions and learn from each other and just talk. Um, but I'm good with everything going on. I'm just dealing with finals week and school, trying to be normal
No,
human
right?
throughout this.
Good
Yeah.
luck.
It's interesting because like we were actually talking about this, and like we're at a really weird time in history actually, but
hmm
you know, a lot of the time we don't even realize that, you know, even though we are in, you know, quarantine and it seems like life is at a pause, there's still a lot of things going on where, you know, life still is happening while we're dealing with all of these things. So it is kind of, you know, a weird thing to balance, but I guess, you know, just to jump right into it, you know, I heard from you that you've been going out here and protesting, which is absolutely amazing.
With the people.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
People.
We just, you know, we wanted to kind of, you know, because I haven't been out to protest yet. I want to get out so bad, but I just haven't.
Yeah.
But I want to hear from you. What was that entire experience like? What was, you know, your reason, and how did you come out the other side?
Yeah. Yeah. So I protested last week. We marched to the mayor's house in LA, and then I marched this Saturday for Breonna Taylor, and um, both were super peaceful and super organized, and each of them had speakers, and it was really impactful to hear them talk about how they've been personally impacted by everything going on, and just to hear their experiences with police and being Black in America, and seeing a crowd of of Black people, white people, and brown people was really incredible, and definitely I think I learned so much, and it was also very emotional to hear everybody's voices and saying their names, and then also just to see people come together for one cause. It was it's a great experience.
Very powerful thing, you know, when
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of, it seems like everyone around you and everyone in your life is kind of, you know, supporting one thing, and you know that, you know, although the circumstances that, you know, we're in right now might not be the best for everybody, we're obviously, you know, we're coming together and we're moving forward and actually making progress.
hmm
So yeah, it is just
Yeah.
a beautiful thing, seriously.
It
Yeah.
also goes to show.
Go on.
It just also goes to show how much, when people of all races, no matter what their background, when we unite under one thing, under one cause, how much we can really get done, how much change we can
Yeah.
inspire. Because when you look at what's already been happening, what's come since the protests have started, it's a really good start. We've actually,
Yeah.
things are starting to happen. We're starting to be heard. So it just speaks to how, all of this,
hmm
being together is the only way that we can fight this, the only way we can incite change. And it's
Yeah.
it's cool.
And the whole world is
Yes.
Global.
on our side too. Yeah.
Global.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard some
Amazing.
like 18 countries protesting
Yeah.
alongside. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Well, something I noticed, I've been going out to protest and stuff too. And one thing I noticed is like a lot of people our age and younger are
Yeah.
out there, and they're, there's a difference in like going out there because somebody told you should go, and like going out there because you know what's going on, and you have something to say, you have a voice that you want people to hear. And I feel like that's sort of been the constant, like young people going out and being like, all right, I'm angry and I want to walk with the people. I want to, you let my voice be heard. So I think that's super dope.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
It is.
Really good feeling.
Yeah. And it's also interesting. It's really interesting to hear when people don't necessarily agree, because when I was protesting, there was someone in the corner yelling and trying to sort of incite violence. But then you hear people, someone was drumming and he was crying and he was talking about the pain, and someone else was saying, please just calm down. We need to be together. It's all love. And it was really emotional hearing all that, and just the love that's put into it. But then all the emotions that come with what has been happening for hundreds of years,
Yeah, 1,000%. Well, we kind of stalked your Instagram a little bit.
By the way, that last picture that you posted, just great, just really great.
The black square.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, we saw that. You were urging people. It really stood out to me, and I reposted it because I was like, wow, that's really powerful. But you were saying, this is too easy. This is not. This black square is not all that we need to do. And one of the things that you said is, obviously one of the most powerful ways that we as a democracy make our voices heard is voting. How old are you? Are you 18 yet?
I'm 17.
Will you be able to? Are you turning 18 before the election?
No, I'm just gonna miss it. I turn 18 in January, so.
Oh man. Okay. Well, even aside from that, though, you're still, making sure that people understand the importance of voting, and I think that that gets lost on a lot of people. So, why do you feel like, and not only why do you feel like it's important, but what do you think will happen if we don't show up to the polls in the way that we need to, considering we might possibly have another 4 years of Mr. Trump?
Yeah, I think beyond even voting for the president, it's about just making sure that you're putting your mind and putting all your resources into figuring out who the best, who has your best interest and your community's best interest in mind. And that goes into the local officials, the governors, the district attorneys, whatever it is. People just need to educate themselves and do the research and figure out who is best for the job. And I think we're super lucky that we are a part of a very outspoken generation, and you guys demonstrate that with what you're doing right now. But I think we're lucky that we grew up with the internet and social media, so we can constantly have discussions and teach each other. So I think that's the key to making change, is just communication and talking to each other and learning.
How do we make sure that goes past just being a trend? Because obviously, it's super big right now. But how do we make sure that we continue to apply pressure in those areas?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because obviously this has been this whole movement has sort of changed our daily lives right now, and that's it's kind of defined what we've been doing on social media and everything. And I think we have to remember that this is much more than social media, and this is about human lives, and I think some people forget that and kind of see it as an opportunity or a trend. And like what I said before about the black square being too easy, we can't let people off the hook just because they posted a black square or because they posted a hashtag. Like this whole thing depends on whether you had empathy, whether you had real pain when you watched George Floyd, when you watch that video, and whether you actually have compassion for the people that are being hurt by America and the system.
How do you? Oh, my bad.
No, go ahead.
How do you suggest, or what do you think is sort of a good way to deal with the people who sort of maybe saw the video and thought, oh, whatever, or posted a black square thinking that, or even like dealing with corporations who think like one post of like a MLK quote with their logo under it is enough? Like, what do you think we should do? Because obviously educate, but do we show compassion for those people if they didn't show for us? Or
I think we need to find a balance, because I see a lot of hate for people that were either too late to post or didn't post. But social media is just a filter between the audience and the people.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean everything. Like I know people that didn't feel like it was their time to post, but they were affected by this, and then people don't see it that way. And
Yeah.
I think society as a whole, we put too much emphasis on social media. So I think it all depends on who they are as a person. And I know that's hard to judge, and it's hard to figure out, but I think eventually we'll all share the same mindset. So I'm not sure how we'll deal with those people that aren't genuine. I really don't know, but I think we do have to keep in mind that social media isn't everything, and that we're all people. And
I think another topic that's very difficult but incredibly important to be discussed like nationwide throughout all of this is white privilege. I think it's something that that I don't think has been discussed enough, and it's critical to really getting as many people behind this, and just understanding the movement in general. So I want to know what's your view on white privilege's effect, and the effect that it has on times like these.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm white, and I right now it's not really my time to, this isn't about me or my voice, but I'm here to be your ally, and to use my privilege for something, and to use it to amplify your voice. And I also see, well, that's my opinion. I see a lot of people who don't believe white privilege is real because they worked for what they have, or they didn't inherit wealth. But they have to understand that's not what white privilege means. I was raised in Philly by a single mom, and I didn't grow up with a lot of money. But I'm in the position I am today, and I have gotten more opportunities because of the color of my skin. And I think I think white privilege has to do with America as a whole, and the justice system and education, and but it also has to do with our industry, the movie industry, and the fact that so I'm actually a quarter Korean, and my mom's half Korean.
Okay.
And so
with the people.
Yeah. But I know that if I looked, I'm a white person. You can't tell that I'm Korean, but I know that if I look more like my mom, that there's no way I would have gotten a lot of the opportunities that I've gotten. And I know that I wouldn't be able to play this person's son, or this actor, a younger version of this actor. And so it's up to us. It's up to the people who are who have the privilege in the movie industry, and who are the producers, the directors, to tell stories that need to be heard. Like, that's why When They See Us was so important, because you're not only making great cinema and with incredible actors, but you're telling a story that needs to be heard. But I also think that beyond that, there needs to be more diversity in the movie industry, and just as a whole, and just giving more opportunities to people with different backgrounds. And that doesn't just mean telling a story about a Black person, but it is a story about a boy who happens to be Black. And just because I feel like, you know, a lot of people with racial prejudice or ignorant views are not going to watch not going to watch shows that are going to consciously educate them, but they are going to go watch superhero movies. And hopefully if they see, you know, if they see a Black woman or an Asian man as a superhero, I think maybe something subconsciously can shift in their mind, and their opinions can change. So I think that's the power of the industry, and the power of what you can do with your privilege. Yeah, and so I think right now it's just important that people who look like me acknowledge that we have privilege, and that, you know, we are given more opportunities because of our skin color, you know.
That's oh, my bad.
Oh no. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that's kind of like an amazing point. You know, we we try so hard to teach those that we find ignorant and try and like shove them information, but sometimes it doesn't even take that. It just takes them, you know, to see a movie like Black Panther, which is so dope, be like, oh wow. And then, like you said, they may not make a conscious note of it, but at least they're seeing, you know, strong representations of Black people.
I think that's actually a good segue, because I was, you know, it seems like a lot of the people that don't necessarily think that white privilege exists, or don't see how they are affected by it, or how their lives are, I guess, or, you know, like you were saying, how they have more opportunities from it. It seems like a lot of the time when you know, we bring up things like white privilege, it can make people uncomfortable, because they, you know, like you said, want to bring up, oh no, I had a hard life, and all these other things. And it actually, I think that one of the biggest examples of not using your privilege in the correct way, and almost victimizing yourself, when, you know, in reality the movement isn't about you, is when people say Black Lives Matter and people respond with All Lives Matter. Can you just speak on that? And because, you know, we I don't know, it seems like we can try to explain Black Lives Matter as much as we want, but there's, you know, just certain people that are just not gonna. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they get it, but just want to push back.
People hear what they want to hear.
People hear what they want to hear. I think that's what it is. So I don't know how do you feel about, you know, the term All Lives Matter, and do you feel that, you know, it's counterproductive to what we're trying to portray? Because there's a lot of the time where people say, oh yeah, I'm all for, you know, the movement and everything. I want to see, you know, Black people have the same rights that I have, and not be able, and not have to fear, you know, simple things such as, you know, going for a jog, but we'll still say All Lives Matter. Can you explain just how that's, I guess, that just conflicts each other entirely?
Yeah, I understand what people are saying when they say All Lives Matter, but that's just because they don't understand what Black Lives Matter means. And I think it's about, I think people who say that are just uneducated, and don't know that, you know, don't know that white privilege exists, and don't know that Black people are experiencing a disproportionate amount of police brutality, and just the system is often against them, and makes it hard for them to get the opportunities that we get. So I think people just need to understand what it means, and that Black Lives Matter doesn't mean that all lives don't matter.
Right.
There's like a million metaphors for this that I've seen on the internet, and like houses on fire, and you're gonna say that all the houses need water, but I don't know what else we can do to help people understand that. But
it's like at a certain point, it's like, what more can we say, you know?
Yeah.
It's difficult because, like, we kind of had this conversation with Storm, and when we asked her that question of like, do you think like it's worth the time to try and educate those, especially like let's say like white supremacists, and she just said nope. I agree with that, because I think at that point, you're so far gone, so deeply rooted in your beliefs, as wrong as they are, that it's difficult to try and change that. So the focus for the most part should be on those that are willing to be open-minded, who maybe have struggled with ideas that aren't that are racist, and ignoring their privilege, and I think if they are able to have an open mind and they're willing to listen and learn, then those are the people that should be focused on, because those are the people that will probably end up learning something and end up, their beliefs should, are more likely to be shifted.
Yeah, but I do think that people can change, and I do think that what this movement has done is it's helped spread this movement on social media and educate people that wouldn't otherwise think about this or wouldn't matter to them. And I think a big part of this, my job and everyone's job throughout this, is to have difficult conversations with people that you don't necessarily agree with, to teach them. Because that's a part of life, is disagreeing. And but I think that anyone can change if you teach them enough, and if you tell them the information that they need to hear, and you help them understand and walk them through the imbalance and the inequality that people face in this country. And so I think that people can. I think that people do need to have a conversation with. I don't know about white supremacists, it's hard, but just people who are closed-minded, or people that don't want to learn, teach them and push them to learn and
Yeah. I guess, just to close things out, because everything that you said here was beautiful, Jaeden.
Thank you.
I just
so
wanted
smart.
to, seriously, but
Thank you, I appreciate it.
what advice would you have to people who may be watching this and who want to be allies and want to get involved more? Where would you tell them to start?
We've talked about this whole interview, but educate yourself. And then don't be afraid to use your voice, because it does matter. And don't be afraid to reach out to people. And if you think you are on the wrong side, or you think if you don't understand this whole the purpose of the protests, and if you don't get why so many people are upset, talk to people and try to understand. Reach out and read and learn. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Those are the biggest things. Jaeden Martell, thank you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Some wise words.
Hey, bro, you are. I can just sense like your spirit is so.
Yeah, bro. Seriously.
Your voice, it's like you're. This is my first time meeting you. Like I know you're a beautiful person.
You're invited to the cookout.
I appreciate it. No, but what you guys are doing is amazing. Like, it's hard to. We talked about this, Sante, but you were saying it's you want to think that you're a normal person, but you have to acknowledge your voice. And what you guys are doing is incredible. And I think it's special. Just to have the almost the guts, or whatever it is, to have the desire to do something like this, and to reach out to people and make it tangible, and not only just think about it, but actually do it and have people on and discuss. I think that's really special.